Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this webinar celebrating the arrival to Tromsø of the Alliance vessel and the conclusion of the 2021 edition of the HIGH North scientific campaign. So first of all, a warm welcome to our friends of the HIGH North 21 campaign. Welcome back home. Of course, back home, almost home. You are not really home, but you are in Tromsø now. But at least after several months, after 2 months of campaign, you arrived to the port of Tromsø, almost home. Today we celebrate a number of ideas. First of all, we celebrate the successful conclusion of a new round of activity of the multi-year research program in the Arctic, run by the Hydrographic Institute of the Italian Navy, a program which is not only a long-term program, but which is also a way to celebrate the Italian scientific research in general. So we celebrate not only the arrival of the Alliance vessel and of the group of scientists working on the ship, but also we celebrate Italian scientific research in Norway. I don't know if our attendees know that Norway hosts more than 500 Italian researchers. This is one of the many excellences of our country in Italy. More than 500 scientists and researchers working in Norwegian labs, Norwegian universities, Norwegian centers of excellence, and highlighting the strength and the capacity of Italian and Norwegian cooperation in this field. Before giving the floor to the main actors of this event, which are basically the scientists, the people who participated into the scientific campaign, I would like to point out a number of items which I think are of great relevance to this event. First of all, science and science research is probably the main contribution of Italy to the Arctic management. So Italy, as all of you probably know, is an observer state to the Arctic Council, and among its many important contributions, most probably scientific research is the most significant. So we celebrate with the arrival of the HIGH North 21 vessel also the scientific contribution of Italy to the Arctic development. Another point I would like to underline, which is quite relevant for me, is the multi-year nature of this scientific mission. This is not a mission which runs just once in a while, just this year. This is a mission which started several years ago. It's a multi-year mission planned in advance. This is, if I remember well, the 4th or 5th round of the HIGH North campaign, run by the Hydrographic Institute of the Italian Navy in the Arctic. This is very important, the capacity of planning and conducting campaigns, not on a case-by-case basis, but on a multi-year basis. Another feature I would like to underline is what I call the multi-actor nature. There are many actors in this scientific campaign, which has the participation of many Italian and international research centers. From Italian institutions, there are many: the National Council of Research, the National Institute of Oceanography and Applied Geophysics, to the National Italian Agency for New Technology, Energy and Sustainable Development, and to the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. But there are also some international centers, quite well known. Among them, the Joint Research Center of Ispra, the NATO Center for Maritime Research and Experimentations, and of course, the Italian Navy, the Hydrographic Institute, which is the coordinator of all these activities. But on top of them, a number of scientists and researchers which on the Alliance vessel participated to the High North campaign are scientists from universities, from the University of Tromsø in Norway, to the Sorbonne in Paris, Barcelona in Spain, and to the Norwegian Defense Research Establishment. All of them are contributing to the program. So this is a very important moment now. Welcome back to firm ground. Welcome back home. I would like now to give the floor to a number of scientists, diplomats, and technicians who participated contributed to the realization of this event, to this scientific campaign. Some of them recorded their contribution from their home countries, but some of them, they are live today participating to this webinar. The first speaker is the Italian Arctic Ambassador, Ambassador Carmine Robustelli, who will take the floor from the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Rome.
Dear colleagues of the Hydrographic Institute of the Italian Navy, Norwegian authorities, Ambassador Colella, friends of the Arctic who are using your time to attend this webinar, it is a great pleasure for me to take part in this virtual event to celebrate the successful completion of HIGH NORTH21. This is also a good occasion to highlight the fruitful cooperation between Norway and Italy on Arctic issues. For Italy, Norway is the main partner in the Arctic. This has been clearly stated in a recent virtual meeting mainly devoted to the Arctic between the Italian Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Benedetto Della Vedova and the Norwegian Secretary of State Audun Halvorsen. The Italian engagement in the Arctic is based on history, science, companies, and dissemination, or raising awareness on the region, as I like to say. On all these aspects, our link with Norway are very close. A long history of common missions of great explorers, who were at the same time the first researchers. Now, the Station Dirigibile Italia at Svalbard Islands is the main point of reference of Italian scientific activities in the region. Italian companies actively operate in Norwegian Arctic using innovative technologies which comply with the highest standards for environmental protection. In addition, let me mention at least one joint activity raising awareness on the Arctic, especially in new generations. The seminar Arctic Connections, organized by the Italian Society for the International Organizations with the Norwegian Embassy in Rome. Politically, Italy shares the goal of keeping the Arctic as an area of low tensions, with a high level of cooperation, and we are ready to continue to give our contribution to this aim. Italy is proud to be an observer state to the Arctic Council, the cornerstone of the cooperation in the region. The principles of our engagement in the Arctic Council and in the Arctic in general are the respect for the international law and for the Arctic states' sovereignty rights, the promotion of local and indigenous cultures and traditions, the sustainable development, and the protection of the environment. We have appointed an expert for each of the 6 working groups for some expert groups of the Arctic Council, involving ministries and research agencies, in a collective effort to maximize our contribution. The Italian Navy, through the Hydrographic Institute, is in charge of EPPR, the Arctic Council Group on Emergency Prevention, Preparedness and Response. High North is one of the main pieces of this mosaic. The Italian Navy is showing, through High North, a long-standing engagement towards the Arctic, an effort characterized by continuity, inclusiveness, and synergy with the main national research agencies. High North has not been suspended in these difficult times of pandemics, and we are here to celebrate the consistency, competence, and resilience of the colleagues and friends of the Hydrographic Institute of the Italian Navy. Shortly, this summer, we will have another Italian research vessel in the Arctic, the Laura Bassi, enriching the picture of our research activities in the region. To conclude, a common objective and hope to repeat this event next year in presence in Tromsø. Thank you and see you soon.
Thank you, Ambassador Robustelli. Now I give the floor to the Chief Scientific responsible for the science campaign of the HIGH NORTH21, Professor Roberta Ivaldi, and to Dr. Maurizio De Marte, who is on board of the Alliance vessel and who is the logistic expedition chief of the High North project. Roberta Ivaldi is a friend of the embassy, a friend of us. I'm very proud to give the floor to her to talk about the main results of the expedition. Roberta, you have the floor.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the Italian Embassy and Ambassador Colella for the kind invitation to this remarkable event, extremely relevant for our Navy and our nation. I'm Roberta Ivaldi, Associate Professor of Marine Geology of the Italian Hydrographic Institute and Scientist in charge of the ET Navy HIGH NORTH program, a multi-year joint research program in the Arctic, devoted to contribute to the ocean knowledge in order to ensure ocean science improving conditions for sustainable development of the ocean in the aim of United Nations Decade and the JAPCO seabed 2030 project for the ocean mapping. ET Navy HIGH NORTH program recently has been recognized by the United Nations as Action 35 of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development program. In particular, the 3D mapping from satellite to the seabed is fundamental for the ocean we want, using the 3 pillars as the 3E, exploration, environment, and education, supported by the 3C, collaboration, coordination, and cooperation. Just a few words about the last activities in the Arctic. This slide shows the HIGH NORTH21 route which took place in the Arctic Ocean in the Fram Strait and northwestern Svalbard Islands, starting from La Spezia on May to observe the COVID protocol. In particular, the Alliance left Tromsø on the 11th of June and sailed along the Svalbard up to the ice edge at 80 degrees 39 minutes latitude and finishing today in Tromsø. HIGH NORTH was an activity-packed campaign, a 8,510 square kilometers area surveyed, for a total of 230 stations in 30 days. High North 21 was an all-encompassing marine geophysical campaign too. We surveyed the bottom, the water, the solar irradiance, the atmosphere, and the dynamics of the water, using different supports. And in this slide, you have an idea about the surveys and the sampling sites and the days that we spent in the Arctic. We deploy also 2 year-round moorings in joint with CMRE and ONR. Sometimes we stay at a very high water depth in the deepest sector of the Arctic Ocean at the edge of the ice. 20 of us alternated at 4 sites using a variety of equipment to gather different data and to process them in 6 different labs, day and now. We collected bathymetric data using the Alliance State-of-the-Art multibeam sounder, measure solar irradiance by means of a spectrophotometer installed on top of the navigation bridge, and a portable profiler. We use the CTD rosette for water sampling and UCTD, and a variety of gravity corer for sediment sampling. We had a particular attention to the environment with the marine mammal census, marine litter and plastic observation, and sampling. This very crowded schedule required perfect timing, and a part of me is surprised that we made it so smoothly. We were blessed with quite good weather conditions, it's true, but we were also unbelievable efficient and very respectful, even though we belong to different organizations. And I must thank you all, CMRE, GRC and IIM on board, and all partners. It's fantastic cooperation. A special thanks to the crew and Commander Nicola Pizzeghelli. As I was saying before, we focus on a small portion of the Arctic Ocean, but we survey it thoroughly, collecting a lot of samples and acquired a lot of data. It will take time to share and process all this information, and most likely we won't have all the results until the end of the year. However, there are 3 achievements I feel confident enough to talk to you about. The first is exploration with the high-resolution mapping of the Molloy Hole, the deepest sector of the Arctic Ocean, a key area in the global geodynamics and oceanographic context. New hydrographic data were collected in the Arctic Ocean during High North 21 marine geophysical campaign performed in July 2021. Following the High North 20 survey in a COVID pandemic period. In order to contribute in exploration and high-resolution seabed mapping, new data was collected using a multibeam echo sounder 30 kHz. the particular sea ice environmental condition with open sea allowed to survey and mapping the Molloy Hole, a 3D model of the Molloy, and the detection of the deepest seafloor was obtained with a 10 per 10 grid compliance to the IHO standards. The second is education, as UN young generation team on board in line with the ECOP Early Career Ocean Professional Program. The scientific team is constituted by 20 people and 6 young in field training. Finally, the third, the environment. And the environment observation and its maintenance during time with the long data series collection. I know there is still a lot of work to do, and that HIGH NORTH21 is just a drop in the ocean. But I'm proud of our preliminary achievements and of our teamwork. Now I leave the floor to my colleague, Commander Maurizio Del Marte, Program Manager of HIGH NORTH.
Thank you, Roberta. I'm going now to introduce some preliminary results of an interesting experiments developed during HIGH NORTH21 cruise under Arnakoski project, Arctic Navigation with Cosmos SkyMed. Thanks to a joint research between the Italian Navy Hydrographic Institutes and the e-Geos, we are developing an innovative solution to support Arctic navigation and the development of the new routes by providing information for increasing security, safety and protection of the Arctic, based on satellite-borne radar data analysis, integrated and validated through ground truth data collected by our surfing fields. At the same time, such satellite observation can be utilized for multiple purposes, such as providing evidence that the navigation is respectful towards Arctic environment to help with the enforcement of banning the use of heavy oil in the Arctic. Cosmos SkyMed is one of the largest investments in the world of Earth observation and was the first Earth observation system devoted to the dual use, defense and civilian, founded and owned by the Italian Space Agency and the Italian Ministry of Defense. With a global performance of a spacecraft constellation of 4 mid-sized satellites carrying an high-resolution X-band SAR synthetic aperture radar. This year, we had also, for the first time, the Cosmos SkyMed second-generation images. This slide shows you the summary of the Cosmos SkyMed characteristics and the comparison between the two generations in order to highlight the increasing of the image and data quality. During HIGH NORTH21 campaign, the ship was monitored from space. The data were acquired and processed by the Cosmos SkyMed and by the ESA Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2, and the obtained results made available for the best route analysis. All data were used to generate and provide with high frequency, I can say more than 2 maps for a day, ice concentration maps derived from radar satellite observation at different scales, in function of the performance calibrated by the ground truth. During the performance of the ship close to the sea ice age were collected 7 Cosmos SkyMed image mode. We are talking about 40 kilometers SWAT and 3 meters of spatial resolution to analyze ice concentration, dynamics, but also to looking for a correlation with the in-situ measurements and data acquired during the workboat survey. In the picture are evident The different types of ice structure influenced from a different environmental condition. The picture was captured after a 24-hour of persistent swell in the area, with the presence of light and moderate wind from north. Here we can see an image acquired with the spotlight mode. We are talking about 10 kilometers of SWOT and 1 meters of spatial resolution, the best resolution available for the civilian purpose. It was acquired in the same area of previous slides, more or less 1 hour and a half before, but the spotlight gives a better definition of the sea ice concentration, structure, and mainly permit to estimate the roughness of the surface, the age, and the thickness. From the workboat was captured a picture and video that will permit to contextualize the ice concentration and the shape of the ice front. In the meantime, was acquired subsea picture and video to have the best ground-through information. Finally, in the slide, more or less in the same time and the same place, we have for the first time the second generation Cosmos SkyMed image. It was acquired with the quadruple polarization mode with an increased SWOT. We are talking about 15 kilometers for 2,500 kilometers and 3 meters of spatial resolution. In this case, it is possible to see the effect of the sea and the waves over the ice. The wash action is underlined by the orange effect over the image. You can also see southwards the clouds around the filaments to emphasize the scatter of the ice distribution around it. Here, just to have the idea, is the picture captured on board of the workboat of the evidence of the wash activity. One of the hot items in the north, especially over the HIGH North, is the communication. Due to the poor or better absence of the communication from geostationary satellites, during the last 2 campaigns, we developed and tested a method using the Iridium satellite segments, digitalizing the contour and the shape from the ice over the SAR image. The shore team digitalized the contour at the different masses of floating ice, with a different concentration and sent by an SMS, a short text message, just to understand, to the onboard team. On the upper left image, you can see a reconstruction of the border at the different concentration represented on the GIS, the Geographic Information System. In this slide, we want to highlight the importance of the ice dynamics. One of the goals of the Arnakowski project was to correlate the movements of the floating ice with the environmental parameters, the observation of the ice movements with the onboard radar and the GPS measurements with the simultaneous acquisition of the wind, current and other parameters from the ships will permit to better calibrate the different numerical models. Well, last but not least, a special thanks by the HIGH NORTH21 crew. We want to thank you for the attention and we remain available for any more discussion. Grazie.
Thank you. Thank you to all. And now I have the honor to give the floor to the director, to the international director of the Norwegian Polar Institute, Professor Kim Holmen. Professor Holmen is one of the leading experts in the world on Arctic science, and he is, if I can say so, a close friend of Italy.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me and for the Norwegian Polar Institute to receive you, although virtually, here in Tromsø for the end of this year's HIGH NORTH21 expedition. Tromsø is the hometown of the Norwegian Polar Institute, with our main office in the Fram Center. The Norwegian Polar Institute is Norway's main institution for scientific knowledge about Norwegian polar regions. We are also a professional and strategic advisor for Norwegian authorities on management of the polar regions. Norwegian Polar Institute is Norway's executive environmental authority for Bouvetøya and Antarctica. And we are also a research coordinator and host at the Ny-Ålesund Research Station. One important task we have is that we are responsible for topographic and geological mapping of Svalbard, Jan Mayen, and Norwegian claims and territories in Antarctica. We're also a logistics operator in polar regions. All these points and tasks and responsibilities make NPI very keen on learning about and from the scientific results that will emerge as the collected data are interpreted and become available from this year's expedition. The focus of HIGH North to map in the Arctic is of paramount importance for making navigation in the Arctic safer for all. Norway and Italy, two friendly nations, have a long-lasting scientific cooperation in the Arctic and Svalbard in particular. In Ny-Ålesund, the common history goes all the way back to Amundsen and Nobile's endeavors to reach the North Pole. Today, NPI and CNR operate high-profile long-term observational studies of climate and environment, in very close cooperation. Italy has been a very faithful and devoted partner in establishing Svalbard Integrated Arctic Earth Observing System during the past decade. So too, this year's HIGH NORTH21 expedition has maintained a mooring facility that is part of the SIOS efforts. SIOS stands for Fair and Open Data. Scientific data collected in Svalbard is in principle to be open and shared. We congratulate you for the emerging success from this year's expedition and look forward to continued cooperation based on the strong friendship, trust, desire to share knowledge, be it through data, scientific publication, or education, and the democratic values that always are inspiring our cooperations, from the individual scientist to scientist level interactions, through institutions, all the way to the national level. I look forward to many more years of projects together. Congratulations again for a successful expedition, and there is more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Holmen. Now, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your comments and appreciation. Now I give the floor to another distinguished panelist, Professor Kenneth Roth. He is the Pro-Rector for Research of the University of Tromsø. University of Tromsø, you know, is the Arctic University of Norway. It's a pleasure to give the floor to him to comment on this, on the end of this expedition. Professor Roth.
Dear Ambassador, dear expedition members, dear friends of the Arctic. It's a great pleasure for me, on behalf of the University of Tromsø, the Arctic University of Norway, to congratulate you with a successfully completed expedition cruise and welcome you now to the city of Tromsø. The Arctic is one of the most remote and unexplored regions of our planet. And the unique climate of the Arctic has required life to adopt in ways very different from what we see in other places of our planet. And the Arctic is thus home to unique species not found elsewhere. The Arctic is also to a greater extent than any other place on Earth not fully explored. And there is much we don't know about the biodiversity and the physical processes happening in these northernmost regions of our globe. We also know that global warming, although of course happening across the globe, shows the largest effects here in the north. As such, the Arctic is a microscope that allows us to see the effects of global warming sooner, as well as with much greater force. Sadly, some of these effects are already very visible here in the north, with less annual sea ice cover, more extreme weather, and invasive species moving into our northern region. At the same time, of course, the more open seas allow us to go further north and explore regions previously inaccessible to us. New technology allows us to investigate new areas and less invasive ways in less invasive ways than in the past, allowing us, for instance, to see that the polar nights are actually thriving with life, in contrast to perhaps our previous assumptions. Still, there is so much more we don't know and need to know about the current state of the Arctic. As such, it's important that we continue to explore the Arctic to better understand its current state and to better predict its future. In this way, we may also provide guidance both on how and why we must continue to reinforce our efforts to curb global warming. And it's in this context that the work you have been doing as part of this expedition cruise is important. UiT, the Arctic University of Norway, has a national mandate to be at the forefront of Arctic research and education in Norway, as well as internationally. And we are the 8th largest producer of scientific research about the Arctic in the world, but nevertheless, this remains just a small part of the research that is needed about the Arctic. So I'm therefore very grateful to the efforts of Italy and your expedition to help improve our understanding and knowledge about the Arctic. This has to be an international effort, and your contribution during this expedition is an important part of this joint mission. Our university is committed to further our understanding of the Arctic, and we are grateful for your contribution to this international effort. I also hope that we can strengthen our collaboration on Arctic issues in the future, and I wish you the best with future expedition. Thank you very much.
We have come almost to the end of this webinar, which has been really very interesting, very informative, very exciting. Now I have the pleasure and the honor to give the floor for some concluding remarks to Rear Admiral Massimiliano Nannini, who is the head of the Hydrographic Institute of the Italian Navy, who is the organizer, the main coordinator and organizer of the HIGH NORTH21 campaign. Admiral Nannini, you had the floor, and while giving you the floor, I take the opportunity to thank very deeply, a real heartfelt thanks to all the panelists of today's meeting. It has been a pleasure for me to organize and to host all of you. Thank you so much for taking part to this event, to the homecoming of the Alliance vessel of the HIGH NORTH21 campaign. And now, concluding remarks by Rear Admiral Massimiliano Nannini.
It's a great pleasure and honor for me today, on the 11th of July, to officially close the 2021 HIGH NORTH campaign. As the previous speakers already highlighted, this was an important mission done by the Italian Navy, so the Italian Hydrographic Office, and all the partners of the program. We are definitely proud of this activity that is a continuum started in 2017 of years of exploration and activity in the Arctic. The Arctic is a very important region for everyone, and especially for Italy. Italy has a long history of activity in the Arctic that started at least a couple of 100 years ago. So we are proud again to today close officially the campaign and we are really looking forward to see the big results of the campaign. The importance of this activity for the Italian Navy is really strategic. We are part of a big group of countries. Italy is known as one of the partners of the Arctic Council, and we are proud to be part of this organization and to support the activities in the Arctic, understanding the value and the effectiveness of our research. This year is really peculiar and particular because it is also the start of the UN Ocean Decade, that is an important activity organized under the umbrella of the United Nations. And we are also proud to say that the activity of the HIGH North program was endorsed by United Nations as action number 35. And so we are proud to say that we are definitely inside the UN Ocean Decade, and this activity will highlight the value of the decade. The HIGH North program is mainly a 3D mapping program, what we say from satellite to seabed, with some keywords that are very important for us. The 3E, exploration, environment and education, and the 3 Cs, collaboration, coordination, and cooperation. All that in order to achieve the ocean that we want. So this again is something that I want to stress and highlight, because it was the new part of this mission. So that is going along with all the rest of the activity that was already organized and were conducted also in the previous edition of the campaign. Italy will continue this activity in the north, in the Arctic, and I can say today that we've started a new project. We will build a new oceanographic ship very soon, and with even better capacity and capability of alliance. And it will be an Italian Navy ship. That will mean that we have also more time and to spend in the north. So the idea is to increase the activity in the north, understanding the value of the data and the activity and the partnership that we are having in this year and in the future. So that said, I would like really to thank everyone, and especially Professor Roberta and the team of the Hydrographic Service and the crew of the ship for the great job done during this long period at sea. Thank you very much.